A very good evening to you and welcome to RTV News with me, Fiona Mbabazi. President Paul Kagame has reiterated that genocide fugitives should not be harbored by any country in this region and repeated that cooperation is the only way for objectives to be attained. Now, the Rwandan head of state was speaking during the 8th summit of the International Conference on the Great Lakes Region, or ICGLR, as it is known by its abbreviations.
His Excellency Paul Kagame participated in the summit's virtual gathering of the region's heads of state and government, during which he commended the progress that has been made in defeating armed groups in the Great Lakes region that seek to destabilize security, and emphasized the need to work together in order to effectively address the issues the region has continued to face.
A collaborative and harmonized approach is the best way to deal with the security and public health challenges facing the Great Lakes. There has been progress toward eliminating illegal armed groups in our region, but much remains to be done. It is past time to uproot these groups once and for all, and peace is a precondition for development and prosperity.
Chaired by His Excellency Denis Sassou Nguesso of the Republic of Congo, the 8th summit of the International Conference on the Great Lakes Region, or ICGR as it is known by its abbreviation, delved deeply into matters affecting the people of the region. And one issue that was spoken on by President Kagame was the matter of genocide fugitives on the run from the law.
Genocide fugitives should not find refuge anywhere in our region. They must be brought to justice. Mr. Chairman, before I conclude, I have to say there is no better way of achieving all our objectives than finding cooperation among the countries of ICGLR, and therefore we have to keep working on that and taking it forward as we face the many challenges ahead of us.
The conference, with its 12 member states, was created to address the problem of conflict that has affected the region and defeat the armed groups that cause it.
Minister Dr. Edouard Ngirente has thanked taxpayers for their contribution to the nation building, especially now that the country is battling the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, the Premier expressed his gratitude during the 18th edition of the Taxpayers Appreciation Day.
34 of the country's biggest taxpayers were recognized, with Barigwa taking the top spot with more than 30.7 billion Rwandan francs paid in taxes. I am happy to inform you that the new fiscal year of 2020-2021 was started well, with our tax collection goals attained at a rate of 106.1%. Funds collected at the district level hit 107.6%. Taxpayers like Zilpha Nyirabizimana, who owns a number of commercial buildings in Nyarugenge district and were recognized for their contributions, have urged others not to try to avoid their responsibilities in nation building. Zilpha paid more than 62 million Rwandan francs in taxes. Also present was the Prime Minister, and he urged those in the private sector to use their available resources properly and recover quickly from the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. There is the Recovery Fund that was established by the government to help the private sector that was most affected by the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. However, that does not eliminate the NST1 program that seeks to develop the country over a period of 7 years and transform the lives of local residents. Taxes collected at the local level during the 2019-2020 fiscal year were 62.2 billion Rwandan francs, 90.8% of the targeted 68.2 billion. During the first quarter of this current fiscal year, Rwanda Revenue Authority collected a total of 375.4 billion Rwandan francs, the target being 354 billion.
Now, local taxpayers and entrepreneurs agree that the country will develop at a faster pace if everyone honors their responsibility to pay taxes consistently. This comes as the biggest taxpayers in the country were recognized for their contribution to Rwanda's continued development. Jen Mutoni with the details.
Over the past 20 years, Rwanda has tremendously excelled and developed drastically in all sectors, be it economically, socially, and politically, and many more. Local citizens in Kigali that have witnessed all these achievements say taxes have played a big role in the development process. As you can see, this road we're standing on is yet to be finished, which means all the infrastructure projects have been accomplished due to the taxes that we pay, which means revenues play a big role or contribute to the development of the country. The national development has mostly been proven by the increase in the national budget for several years, as observed in the budget that was implemented in the fiscal year 2010-2011. The budget was 984 billion Rwandan francs compared to 2017-2018, which has increased to 1,110.9 billion Rwandan francs. The national development has mostly been proven by the increase in the national budget for several years, as observed in the budget that was implemented in the fiscal year 2010 and 2011. The budget was 984 billion Rwandan francs compared to 2017-2018, which has increased to 1,110.9 billion Rwandan francs. The budget in fiscal year 2017-2018 amounted to 2,094.9 billion Rwandan francs, showing an increase of 140.7 billion Rwandan francs compared to the 2016-2017 revised budget of 1,954.2 billion Rwandan francs. Domestic revenues mounted up to 1,375.4 billion Rwandan francs, equivalent to 66% of the whole national budget. The total national budget in the fiscal year 2017-2018, the total sum of domestic revenue and external loans contributed 83%, with 70% only being the loans alone. This proves that Rwanda continues to achieve her goal of self-accountability. Entrepreneurs continuously affirm that taxes have played a big role to the development, hence encouraging every citizen to pay tax so as to multiply the achievements. According to our observation, entrepreneurs are understanding the purpose of paying taxes compared to before, as it was paid unwillingly, almost by force. But now you'll find that they are concerned to pay in due time. If we were fortunate enough to see more of this, more roads would be reconstructed, as you can see it happening in Kigali and across the country. The Rwanda Revenue Authority says due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the national budget of 2019-2020 has only generated 1,516 billion Rwandan francs, equivalent to 95.4%, compared to the revised budget of 1,589 billion Rwandan francs from revenues. Officials at the Rwanda Revenue Authority say the country has been coping well despite the effects of COVID-19.
Nk'uko twese tubizi, icyorezo cya COVID-19
As we all know, the COVID-19 pandemic disrupted a lot of activities in our country and all over the world. To a point, it has affected the revenue collection as well, which is why we're not able to attain the revised budget for the fiscal year 2019-2020. The business was affected, in and out movements of people from the country, as well as importation and exportation of goods, and many other activities that generate revenues were heavily affected.
ndetse n'ibikorwa bimwe na bimwe bitanga umusoro bigerwaho ingaruka zikomeye.
The total revenues collection from different sectors sum up to 62 billion Rwandan francs, equivalent to 90.8% compared to the revised budget of 68 billion Rwandan francs. In 2020-2021, from July to September, revenues received sum up to 371 billion Rwandan francs, equivalent to 105.8% compared to the revised budget of 351 billion Rwandan francs. During the 3 months in which tax collection were decentralized to local administration, 11.3 billion Rwandan francs was generated compared to the revised budget of 10.6 billion Rwandan francs, which means the achieved rate was 106.6%. The national budget of the fiscal year 2020-2021 is 3,245.7 billion Rwandan francs, which shall be added on by 7.5%, equivalent to 228.6 billion Rwandan francs, compared to the budget of 2019-2020. Due to the disruption that occurred in the business sector, the revenue rate is predicted to decrease to 1,421 billion Rwandan francs compared to last year's obtained national budget, which was 1,569 billion Rwandan francs. Domestic revenues plus domestic loans all add up to 1,962.8 billion Rwandan francs, equivalent to 60.5% of the whole national budget. The totals of domestic revenues and domestic loans which are to be paid have contributed 84.6% to the annual national budget. Jane Mutoni reporting for RTV.
Well, thank you, Jane, for that detailed report. Now, as Rwanda is widely embracing ICT usage, parents are urged to control their children's technological consumption, as the development of ICT may pose great risks to the well-being of the young if not properly monitored.
Mutoni Brenda, a resident of Kigali City, has been using ICT tools to educate her two children since the COVID-19 pandemic struck, and forcing schools to halt their activities in order to curb the spread of the pandemic. She said the access to technological tools has enabled her children to partially continue their studies, even though it hasn't been familiar work to do. We have really appreciated this technology because it enabled our children to keep studying and continue to learn. The technology also challenged us to stay closer to our children and follow up what they learn, because if they get carried away by technology, they get distracted by social media like YouTube and then give up studying. In the 14th National Children's Summit, themed the role of family to protect the children against online threat, children praised the technological advancement in Rwanda, which allowed them to continue their studies in the pandemic, but asked their parents to limit any excessive usage that can harm their health. ICT is a very good development because it helped us to keep studying, but it can also have negative impact on our lives. I think parents should set a limit for the consumption of their children's online contents. They should guide what they consume and control their social media engagements. Professor Janet Baisenge, the Minister of Gender and Family Promotion, noted that ICT can yield enormous benefits when used well, but it can also harm young people if it is not utilized well. These days, ICT is widely used to connect people and educate the young. As parents, we need to constantly ask ourselves if we have prepared our children enough to manage the pressure that comes with internet consumption. Are they prepared enough to slug off online pleasure? These days, ICT is widely used to connect people and educate the young. As parents, we need to constantly ask ourselves if we have prepared our children enough to manage the pressure that comes with internet consumption. Are they prepared enough to slug off online pressure? Do they have enough information about the state of social media? That's why a summit like this should be an opportunity for parents to examine online contents that can distract our children. When ICT is used properly, it can have enormous benefits, but it is also a dangerous weapon if it is not used well. So young children, we urge you to ignore those people who deceive you online and avoid the communication with people that you don't know. Children have requested that the cost of sanitary pads for women should be lowered further and that they should have more libraries near them in order to foster their knowledge, among other things. Rwanda Education Board has said that internet penetration in public schools has reached 52%, with the aim to broaden the network even to more schools in the coming years. Ndaha Emmanuel, RwandaTV News.
Well, thank you, Emmanuel, for that story. Members of Rwanda's National Consultative Forum of Political Organizations have commended changes to the law that allow political organizations in the country to carry out income-generating activities and also establishments of a body to monitor their conduct.
The amendments to the law covered 17 articles that included prohibiting foreign governments from giving donations or other forms of support to local political parties, as noted by the CEO of the Rwanda Governance Board. Those are bodies that do not engage in politics here, and that is why they have no reason to give donations to local political parties in the country, lest they too cease to be Rwandan. What we don't want is that they become the puppets of those donors and end up lacking their own opinions and practices that are meant to help Rwandans develop. Members of Rwanda's National Consultative Forum of Political Organizations have commended changes to the law that allow political organizations in the country to carry out income-generating activities, and also the establishment of a body to monitor their conduct. This gives an opportunity to people who may have conducted themselves in ways that are not proper to explain themselves. When issues arose and measures were taken against such individuals, they sometimes claimed that the process had been unfair, but now that will no longer be possible. The forum can now construct commercial structures and rent them out using loans like everyone else. The profits will then be shared among the political parties that are part of the forum. Members of the forum have been urged to work together to promote the principles of democracy.
Residents in various parts of the country have applauded the fact that the Rwanda National Police has now opened 3 new vehicle inspection centers across the country, saying that this will reduce the pressure of having to go to Kigali for the services.
The government of Rwanda, in collaboration with the National Police, has opened 3 vehicle inspection centers in the outskirts of Kigali, which will now be able to monitor vehicle quality in Musanze in the northern province, Ramagana in the eastern province, and Huye in the southern province. Those who sought these services and had to drive to Kigali say that they are happy with the news. The Rwanda National Police has urged people to go to these branches all over the country, but called on the citizens to avoid bribing, as explained by the Northern Province Police spokesperson. Minister of Justice Johnston Businje, who was in Huye district at the official launch of the center, reminded motorists that their quality assurance should not only be done to avoid penalties, but also improve road safety.
Ubuzima bw'ibinyabiziga tugendamo
We must have quality assurance for the cars, but safety of everyone. So it is important that everyone does it. Those who don't do this will keep facing the penalties in place. On the other hand, the Minister of Environment, Dr. Jean-Darc Mujawamariya, says that these institutions will help prevent the emissions of pollutants from the air and some of the vehicles that have not been inspected. According to the Rwanda National Police, the construction of the 3 vehicle inspection centers cost more than Rwandan francs 2.5 billion. Over the past 6 months, 20,858 vehicles were inspected, of which 9,964 were not compliant with road safety, while another 486 emitted air pollutants.
My name is Shimwe, and I'm your guest anchor tonight. On the international scene, the warning parties of Ethiopian Tigray region has exchanged rocket fire, with both sides accusing each other of putting civilians in danger.
And now, of course, from the international scene, we head straight to my guest anchor, Naomi Shimwe. Thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much for having me.
Of course, you're Miss Rwanda 2020. How did it feel to read the news and to join the studio?
Feels good. First of all, I was panicking before reading, but then it was really good.
It was really good? You think you can be a news anchor
someday?
I
can try. Yeah. But then I have to practice.
Of course, practice makes perfect, but you did an amazing job.
Yeah, thank you.
So
Hope you guys liked it.
Yeah. Did you envision yourself as Miss Rwanda? Did you always want to be Miss Rwanda, or, get into modeling, the pageant world?
No, really. I never thought I was going to be Miss Rwanda. I actually wanted to be something. I wanted to join a beauty pageant, win and all that. But as now, I think before I wanted to be like a model or something, but then I was like, let me just join Miss Rwanda. Even in the boot camp, I used to tell the girls, the contestant, do you think I'm going to win? I used to wake up every morning, do you think I'm going to win? They're like, nah, I don't think so. Maybe the first run-up will fit you. Yeah. Wow, thanks. But then it worked.
So when you won, how was that feeling for you, knowing that you always wanted to be?
I was so excited. I wanted to go home to see my family because we didn't sleep. Voting, I was voting for myself. Oh, yeah. I was really voting. So I was so excited. Yeah.
So the projects that you're working on, what are some of the projects that you're working on after winning the crown of being Miss Rwanda?
Yes, I'm working on mental health. Yeah, mental health is my project, and I'm still working on it. But then there's some challenges. The COVID was about gathering people, talking to them. But I'm still trying. I'm having sessions online. In the quarantine, we had different sessions. Kelly Johnson Gahaya from pageants on Gahaya. We also had Africa Mental Health Matters, it's a group of people. So yeah, I'm trying to just put it like on social media, yeah.
So your term ends next year. When does it end? December or Jan? When does it end?
I think it's in December.
It's in December.
But then like the voting, I think, I'm not sure if there's going to be Miss Rwanda 2021. I'm not really sure, maybe. But then if it happens, then it's in December.
It's during December.
Yeah, during December.
But then you still hope to continue the project. This is a project that you want to stop, but you really want to continue.
It's a long-term project, so I really have to. I really have to, because there's so many things I have to do.
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, one of the questions that came up from our social media is, what kind of music do you like? Because before we knew as Miss Rwanda, you know, you, your sisters, your siblings, we kept seeing you dancing and singing along the Mackenzies. Tell us, what kind of music do you like?
I love R&B. The R&B, slow music, I love that, and yes, it's R&B. I think I have like there's this song of TLC, Waterfalls. Waterfalls, yeah.
Naomi, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Where do I see myself in 5 years? Honestly, I see myself in 5 years having like a mental health center. So that it can be affordable for people to, to just use. I want it to be free. So I want to build that. I want to have like a mental health center.
I mean, it's a very good vision, and hopefully you can achieve it.
Definitely, I'm praying.
Cyberbullying. I know, after you went on to Rwanda, cyberbullying was quite, we felt the cyberbullying on Twitter, on social media. How did you deal with it? Did it affect you? And
yes, it's like, definitely. But then I think because it's just exposure. You're being Miss Rwanda, the public figure. Everyone's just commenting whatever they want, negativity and all that. But then what I do, I delete and block. Yeah, I delete and block and just leave.
So for those who are also going through the same thing, what would be your advice for them?
Honestly, just be you. People would definitely judge even if you're doing something great or something bad. Just be you. Yeah, that's one thing I can tell you.
So what's next for you after handling over the crown? Are you going to go back to school? What are you going to be focusing on? Are we going to see more of social media content with the Mackenzies? What's the plan?
The Mackenzies are my family, so I'm always with them everywhere. And yes, I'm going to go back to school.
What do you want to study, Naomi?
Marketing.
Oh, really?
I love marketing.
I thought you'd say journalism.
I told you practice. That would be like 2 years.
What's the thing that people don't know about you? It's one thing to see you as Miss Rwanda. It's one thing to see, the beauty queen there. But what's the thing that we do not know about you?
Something that people don't know about me. I don't think there is something that people actually don't know about me.
Really?
Yeah.
You're not shy?
No,
do you love to cook? Are you into sports? What's the thing we do not see?
I hate sports. I love cooking. Let's start over there. One thing that people don't know about me, I'm friendly. I'm very friendly.
Most people when they become celebrities.
Yeah, they're like, now you're Miss Rwanda. Are you gonna talk to us? Will you pick up our calls? So I'm still
the same now. We're still the same girl from the block.
Yep.
Favorite place in Rwanda? What's your favorite place in the country?
Zoe.
Oh.
Zoe, because that's where our office is. Mackenzie. We have like a clothing brand, so that's Zoe.
So as we sum up, maybe for those who are watching us, the young girls will say probably they want to get into modeling, and we know modeling is not quite easy.
True.
There's lots of ups and downs in modeling, but then they want to try Miss Rwanda. We've had so many pageants. We even had, I think, Miss Career Africa,
Miss Africa Calabar.
Yes, we've also had that, right? What would be a word of advice to them?
One thing that I should tell them is that be ready. Be ready for the negativity, with the positivity as well, and make sure that your family is close to you. Make sure that you have people who are supporting you, because it's really hard, but yeah, be you and don't be fake. Don't try to be someone else, just be you.
One controversial question that people asked, why did you change your management from MissRwanda.RW, is it?
Yes.
How did you change? Why did you change and say, I'm going to do this on my own? What happened?
It's Rwanda Inspiration Backup.
Yes, inspiration backup.
Yeah, honestly, I just wanted to work. I wanted to have my own management. I wanted my family to be close to me, supporting me, because that's when I needed them. So yeah, that's when
Family is everything, they say.
Everything. My family. Everyone's family.
Well, thank you very much, Naomi, for
Thank you very
being a
much
guest
for having
anchor
me.
tonight. You
Thank
really
you
killed
very
it.
much.
Well, my name has been Fiona Mbabazi as usual. Thank you very much for joining us. Have yourselves a lovely evening and a good night. And of course, I was joined by...
Thank you very much for joining, for listening to me. Please make sure you wear a mask and wash your hands.
Of course.
Good night.
Good night. And let's flatten the curve of COVID-19 in the country.
Bye.